Welcome to the SoPHi Stake Pool. My name's Anthony, and I'm running a Cardano stake pool called SoPHi Stake Pool after my daughter Sophia. The idea is to pass this on to her, so that's why I used her name. I had to pick something, and I said, you know what, that sounds good, so we'll go with that. I've had the stake pool now since the beginning of the mainnet's ability to create blocks. As a matter of fact, being a small stake pool, I actually made a block in the first mainnet epic that we could make blocks. It was really nice. A lot of stake pools my size did not, so that was kind of cool. The reason I'm starting to advertise the stake pool is because there's a lot of changes going on right now with Cardano, all facets of Cardano, but especially in the stake pool arena. So what's happening is the parameters are changing so that pools are becoming saturated. I'm a small stake pool. You'll see in a second how small. But there are some stake pools out there that were really big. They had 120 million ADA pledged to them, and the saturation point was 120 million. Now that's changed. It's gone down. It's been cut in half. So on December 6th, it went down to 64 million. So what that means is that if you're in a stake pool that has over 64 million people ADA staked, and let's say they have 100 million ADA staked, they're only getting rewards as if they only had 64 million. So in other words, they're going to have less rewards to split, or it's going to become less because you have to split with 100 million instead of the 64 million. So I decided I think it's time to kind of get out there and start advertising my stake pool, because they're going to split it again too. So in 3 months or so, I think in March or so, they're going to split it again. It's going to go from 64 million saturation, the point of saturation at 64 million to 32 million. Now it's going to stay there because at that point the system's going to be set up for 1,000 stake pools, and it'll stay at that 32 million saturation point. But as you know, as we get there, there are going to have to be people are going to have to delegate to different stake pools. I think I have a good stake pool. I take care of it, so I wanted to kind of put myself out there and show it to everybody. So let's kind of get into it here. This first, so what this shows are my nodes. Every stake pool needs a block producing nodes and 2 relay nodes. I have 1 block producing node, which is up here in the left-hand corner, and 4 relay nodes. The only reason you would have 4 instead of 2 is for extra redundancy. So in other words, if I have a couple nodes that go out, I have other nodes that can pick up and keep the process going. There's no downtime. It doesn't give you any ability to make more blocks. It doesn't, you don't get picked more. In fact, I know some operators that have 7 relays. Again, they have no better chance of making a block than anybody else. So that's the only reason you'd have more than 2 relays is because of that. Okay, so let's get into the pool itself a little bit here. Okay, so this is my stake pool here, SoPHi stake pool. So we can go over some of the parameters here. Excuse me. So the pledge. So I have a high pledge. I have almost 500,000 ADA pledged. The pledge doesn't matter that much right now. That's a number that will matter in the future. The more you have, the better it is for 2 reasons. Number 1, it shows that the operator of the pool, myself, is committed to the pool. I put a large amount of ADA as a pledge to make sure my pool is secure. The second reason is so one person can't open 1 million pools, right? So it's pretty easy to open a stake pool, but if you have to have 200,000 or 300,000 ADA in your pool to keep it viable, in other words, to make sure you're going to create blocks, then it's going to be hard to open 10 pools, especially when the price of ADA goes up to $1 and higher. But I'm prepared for that. I have 456,000 ADA now, and every time I make a reward, it automatically goes right back in. So that number is just going to get larger. As you can see, I've made a decent amount of blocks throughout these past months. It looks like I made a couple more in the beginning than at the end, and that's actually a good thing to look at, because as long as a stake pool, doesn't matter what stake pool, is properly set up and all the parameters are set up properly and everything's done right, you're gonna average out, right? If you're in a good stake pool, the idea is to be in a stake pool and not have to jump around all over the place, right? So if you're in a good stake pool and it's run right, and you shouldn't have to jump around. Okay, you may someday or some months the stake pool may make more blocks than it's supposed to. Then it may swoop down, then it may go back up. But the parameters are set up so at the end of the year or at the end of any point in time, everyone's going to receive the same amount of rewards. And the fact that there's blocks, there's epics that don't make any blocks is not that big of a deal. I'm only supposed to make the way 0.9 blocks in epic. So every once in a while, I'm not supposed to create a block. But that still averages out. So if I only create 2 or 3 blocks, but I only have, right now I have 1.3 million staked, there's more of those blocks to go to those 1.3 million stakeholders or the people that hold that stake. There's more of the block to go around. So that's why pools with higher stake make more blocks. So it kind of averages out at the end. Okay, I'm going to stop this here. There's a lot more to talk about, but I want to keep these videos at around 5 minutes a pop because I want to do 2 or 3 a week. What I'm going to do is hop on here and just quickly talk about what's going on with Cardano, what's the big news of the day, or what's going on with the stake pools. So I hope you like this video. I hope you'll consider pledging with the SoPHi stake pool. We'd love to have you, and I'll see you in a couple days. Thank you. Bye.